How we doing, everyone? How we doing, everybody? Welcome into another live edition of our. We got a special episode for you tonight. So welcome back to the channel. It's your guy Noah here with For the Flock, coming at you guys tonight with a special episode. Tonight we got our final rookie grades coming out. All right. So earlier in the season, we did a mid-season grades where we went through and we analyzed like how good was this draft actually, because in the beginning of the season, you know, right after that draft in April, man, a lot of analysts were saying, man, we killed this thing. They were saying the Ravens sat back, let the best player available fall to them, and just pulled the trigger every single time. And I'm not going to lie, at the time I thought we had a great draft as well. So I still think we have a great draft, but we're going to go pick by pick tonight. And we're going to look at how each one of these players graded out, how each one of these players performed. So shout out to J Papa Boy in the chat, Pistol Pete. We got Action 8 Goat, what's up? Wait Bullock and Jalen. What's up, guys? I appreciate you guys being in here. Action 8 Goat said, please shout me out. I had a super bad day. Sorry, brother, you had a bad day. Hopefully this some Ravens content will cheer you up, man. But glad to see you here in the chat. So here we go. At pick number 1 in the first round, right? We had the 14th overall pick. It's the earliest the Ravens usually pick. They don't pick in the front end of the draft very often, so we had to make this thing count. Kyle Hamilton. He was looked at originally as a top 5, top 10 prospect, and then he fell a little bit in the combine because I think he ran a 4.59 or something along those lines. Didn't quite live up to, you know, people were saying that he was like an all-around elite athlete, a missile, which shows up on the game tape. Dude can move in his pads, but for whatever reason didn't have a good day at the combine, and he fell to us at number 14. Safety wasn't a huge need. We had Chuck Clark. We had Marcus Williams. Right after we went out in free agency and gave a huge contract to Marcus Williams. And then all of a sudden, we draft Kyle Hamilton, and we're like, whoa. I mean, I'm great to have the player, but, like, what are we doing with Chuck Clark? And earlier in the season, he started to struggle, man. We were like, Ravens fans were calling this guy a bust, saying, you know, we should have went wide receiver. We should have went this, and that. But as the season went on and the game processing caught up to his physical body, right, when the brain matched the legs, all of a sudden he started playing lights out. The Ravens found a role for him. So he excelled as our nickel defender, right? In a lot of the nickel and dime packages, he was that overhang or that slot type of corner player. And he did great, man. So let's look at the final stats he had on the year, because I was pretty impressed with the numbers he put up. He had 62 total tackles. He had 2 sacks, brought down the quarterback twice. He did look really good off blitzes. I'm not going to lie on that. He did have a forced fumble. And also had one in the postseason. You guys remember, man, when he came down and laid the wood on Hayden Hurst, man. That was beautiful to see, because for whatever reason, every time Hayden Hurst caught a ball against the Ravens, man, he was like, oh, let's go, like fired up, like throwing the ball, acting like he, you know, it could be like a 3-yard little out route, but he acted like he just won the Super Bowl. And I like Hayden Hurst, man. I'm not ragging on Hayden Hurst, but it was beautiful to see Kyle Hamilton just spear the ball right out of his hands and make Hayden Hurst fumble in the playoffs. So that was pretty cool to see. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We got Action 8 Goat. We got Wait Bullock. Tanja, what's up? Good to see you here. Jalen. Dresky, a.k.a. Andremeers. Hopefully I didn't mess up your name too much. Action 8 Goat said you're my favorite YouTuber. Appreciate you, man. So a lot of you guys are giving this pick. And feel free, as we go along the line here, please let me know what your grade is for each one of these guys. So I see a B+, I see an A-, I see an A. I think Kyle Hamilton's just scratching the surface, man, of what he can do. I think you'll see next year, dude could be special. This safety duo we're about to have, man, hopefully we get to see Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton, you know, a full year healthy. That would be beautiful to see, because these dudes are, in my opinion, in my humble purple shaded opinion, probably the best safety duo in the league. Let me know if there's anyone better in your opinion. So we're giving this an A+. Next up on the list, the Ravens shocked us, man. All of a sudden, they were like, hey, hold up. Hey, Cardinals, man. You want Marquise? Yeah, Marquise don't want to be here no more because Greg Roman's here. So, yeah, let's trade him. So, all of a sudden, we traded Marquise, Hollywood Brown, right after he had a 1,000-yard season, which was crazy, man, because we hadn't had a 1,000-yard receiver in a few years up until that point. And all of a sudden, the Ravens are on the clock. Draft night, man. Everyone was shocked. I remember, like, texting all my buddies, like, bro, did you see what just happened? We just traded Hollywood. The Ravens kept that thing on lock and key. Nobody knew it was coming, man, except for Hollywood. Even Lamar was surprised. He was like, bro, what? What just happened? So, crazy, man, crazy. But this turned out to be a sensational pick. In the chat, we got an A minus, A plus, potential, A plus, A minus. So they're all in the A ranges. So you guys are on the same page as me. I just thought Tyler Linderbaum, man, for a rookie, dude held his own. Dude was a bully in the run game. Dude was solid in pass protection. He only gave up 3 sacks all year, and he logged over 1,000 starting snaps at center. So he was available. He was consistent, and he was a hard-nosed player, just continuing to learn and get better and better. And big part of the reason why the Ravens offensive line ranked out to be the second best offensive line in their pass blocking efficiency and run blocking efficiency combined. They averaged second overall. Very impressive. Tyler Linderbaum was a huge part of that. And according to PFF, I got their player grade up here. They had Tyler Linderbaum as a 74.7 grade, which if you're not familiar with PFF is a very high grade. Anything that has that little green color is an excellent grade to have, especially as a rookie. So we got some more grades here coming in the chat. We got an A++, B. We should trade Chuck Clark for a second round, man. Hey, J Papa Boy, in my last mock draft, man, I had the Ravens trading with the Jaguars in the middle of the draft. I had them trading their 3rd round pick, which was like in the 80s range, and Chuck Clark to pick up their 52nd, I think it was. So we got their 2nd round pick, and they got our 3rd in Chuck Clark. So I'm all about it, man, if we can get some value out of Chuck, because that'll help shed $5 million in cap space that the Ravens could use to, A, pay Lamar Jackson, B, get Lamar Jackson weapons, C, bring back guys on the defense, all the above, right? We should trade Marcus Peters in the 5th round for D-Hop. We can't trade Marcus Peters because he's actually a free agent, so he's not under contract, so we have no rights to trade him. So he's going to go in free agency. All right. So Tyler Linderbaum, we're giving this pick an A+, man. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, as always. And next up, David Ojabo. I'm giving it an A, man. I know a lot of you guys might disagree, but I knew when we drafted Ojabo, and the Ravens knew when we drafted Ojabo, that this was a next year type of pick. So anything you got this season was like icing on the cake, man. So he got to get his body right, fully healthy, a full season as a rookie, a very young player, to learn, defense, to learn technique. And then he actually went out in his first game, man, that he got some real playing time and got a strip sack on none other than Joe Burrow. And the Bengals were fighting for that game, man. That game meant everything to them. They kept their starters in the whole game because they were fighting for, home field advantage and possibly the number 2 seed at the time. So, Ojabo, man, I think next season could be a breakout guy, man. I don't know if you guys remember this, but during the draft, or I guess right before the draft, Ojabo was being looked at as a top 15 prospect with his natural athleticism, pass rush juice, the natural bend, the twitch, all of those things, man. Ojabo was being looked at as a top 15 prospect. So we got the dude in the 2nd round. Similar, do you guys remember what the Tennessee Titans did with Jeffrey Simmons a few years ago? drafted him in like the 20th range, knowing that he wouldn't play till next year, and then next year broke out and was a star. I could see a very similar thing happening here with David Ojabo. So we got some conflicting opinions in here. That's all right, man. So we got C+, D+, B+, B-, A+ potential, A+ potential for sure. C didn't see enough. Got to give him a grade next season. We should re-sign Justin Houston so Ojabo can have playtime. So, yeah, man, I think of David Ojabo, like the Ravens knew at the time this was a next year pick. Anything else you got was bonus. And I think you'll see that with some of the older guys that we were relying on, like Justin Houston and Jason Pierre-Paul, that having some fresh young legs in David Ojabo to come in with a full healthy offseason will be beautiful to see. And hopefully that this A stays an A or an A+ as next season starts to creep around and we can see Ojabo just really show that natural pass rush ability, man. All right, next up, we got the big boy, Travis Jones. Fell to the Ravens at pick number 76. Still don't know how this happened, man. I don't know how Travis Jones fell to the Ravens in the 3rd round. Wasn't supposed to happen. I saw after the Senior Bowl last season, I'm really into the draft, so I remember this vividly. I remember seeing Travis Jones out of Connecticut dominating every single player he went up against in the one-on-ones in the Senior Bowl. They couldn't handle the bull rush, the straight knockback power, the heavy hands, the strong trunk. And then he started to show what he could do as a pass rusher, man, that he didn't really get to do at Connecticut because they asked him to be a, two-gapping, run-stuffing guy. Rushing the passer was secondary. But he was mocked, I remember, 28th overall. I think they had him sneaking into the 1st round right after that Senior Bowl. And then as, Senior Bowl started to cool off a little bit, Combine came around, kind of flew under the radar a little bit, and somehow fell to the Ravens at 76. And I still remember that beautiful, beautiful sack that he had on the first snap, the first play from scrimmage. He burst into the backfield, smoked the center, and sacked Daniel Jones. Real big fan of what Travis Jones did this season. And, speaking of Travis Jones having a bigger role next year, let's not forget that Michael Pierce is coming off that major injury. Calais Campbell could be retiring. If he's not retiring, I don't know if the Ravens can afford to actually bring him back. So Travis Jones could have a massive season, a massive role next year. So let's see what the guys in the chat had to say. And so we got Stephanie Stoller. We need a big-time receiver. They need to don't need to trade up very often, but this definitely should be the year we do it. But we only have 5 picks. Yeah, it's going to make it challenging that we only have 5 picks. That's why I could definitely see a scenario in which we trade back in the 1st round to pick up some more draft capital or trade some players to get some picks. So I could see that happening as well. We got Tanja saying B, Travis Jones will shed some baby weight and feel the game more next season. I feel like we will see him progress. I think that's a good point. Zay Flowers signed Alan Lazard and Chark. I'm all for it, man. I don't think we have the money to sign both of those guys, but I'd love to see one or the other. Preferably, I'd like to see DJ Chark to the Ravens, man. Got 4.3 speed, big body, 6'4", has some health concerns, but he's good when he's healthy. So Travis Jones this year had a total of 24 tackles and a sack. So he had a role. Wasn't a huge role, but he played that role very well. And he was asked to do it a lot as a rookie. And sometimes it's hard, especially at the defensive tackle position, where it's such a physical position, relying on strength and size and, experience and technique as well. To excel at that as a rookie, when you got like dudes with their full-grown man strength that have been in the league in a National Football League weightlifting program for multiple years, and then you're coming out of college, with not all that strength and size on your body yet. Travis Jones held up very well as a rookie. I'm impressed with what he did. So I gave this pick an A+. And so one thing I'll say, man, is I wanted to do this because we're starting to prep for this next year's draft, right? And before we start prepping for next year's draft, like, I wanted to take a peek back, peel back the curtain and look at what we did this last draft and see how well those guys actually performed and see if they actually lived up to what the grades were originally, man. So next up, as you guys just saw, we got Daniel Faalele. I was really excited about this pick at the time, especially getting him in the 4th round at pick number 110. Gave it a B. Gave it a B, man. Didn't think that he showed anything that I was like, this garners an A. He deserves an A or anything like that. I thought he was just in the limited action he got, unfortunately, it went against one of the best pass rushers in the league at his not natural position. You guys remember that, right? Ronnie Stanley and Patrick McCarry, I think, were both out, and Daniel Faalele had to start at left tackle. And or maybe he came in. I don't remember. Let me know if you guys remember in the comments section. But I remember him going up against Von Miller, and it was not pretty at times. However, I think he showed you just enough that you're like, you feel good about this pick, about potentially him being like a swing tackle. He showed a little bit of left tackle versatility. It wasn't terrible. And, of course, right tackle was his natural position. So I think let's see if he has it in him, man. I saw some guys questioning if he has the inner offensive lineman dog in him. That ferocious, tenacious, like, I'm going to push you off the ball against your will, whether you like it or not type of mentality. It still remains to be seen if he has that or not. And see if he has enough athleticism to work some of those pass sets and whatnot. Let me know what you guys think. Jay Papa said, let's see here. We got a B. We got a B minus, a B, a C plus. Cowboys just fired their OC. Savage, what's up, man? I see you in the chat here. I see you in the chat. J Papa boy said Faalele B plus. Yeah, I think some, like you said, Jalen, some of these guys do need more reps, but big physical tackle. And I gave this a B because he did show that he could play on the left side in limited action, you know, but I think this pick turned out to be all right. Next up, man, we got Jalen Armour Davis at pick number 119. Not going to lie, man, I was very, very high on this pick whenever it first happened, man. I remember Chris Sims doing a video on his top 5 corners. I think he had Jalen Armour Davis at like number 3 or number 4. He had him in his top 5 corners in the draft last season because of the athleticism, the ability to turn and run with a lot of these receivers that he went up against in a big-time school in Alabama. However, the Ravens tried to get this guy out there on the field early, as well as Pepe, which we're going to talk about here soon. Tried to get this man out in the field early, and it didn't work out too well. A la Dolphins game. What was it, week 2, week 3? Where Tyreek Hill just ran right past him, and he was like, nah, I don't feel like running with him. Like, just a blown assignment. And I think you'll see with these rookie corner grades that it wasn't necessarily physical ability, but that it was mental processing, learning the speed of the game, and learning defense. Because that was where the errors came. It's not like these guys like Pepe and Jalen Armour Davis don't have talent and, you know, can't cover guys. Like, they're just physically outmatched. It's not the case. They're just, they struggled with mental assignments and mental errors. So we got Tom just said E. We got a D, C minus. Yeah. So Jalen Armour Davis, we're giving it a C. I'm giving it a C because I thought he did show enough where it's like, all right, you can be an average NFL player, and I don't hate the pick as far as grooming him for the future, having some more options that can play on the outside, because rookies struggle, man, right? Not every guy comes into the National Football League their first year and like can just hang with the best of them. Sometimes guys struggle. They need a year or two. We've seen it with several players on the Ravens roster. Look at what Ben Powers just did, man. Ben Powers was like, should this guy even be on an NFL roster? And then all of a sudden this last season, and what was it, his 4th year, he starts every single game at left guard. And he's about to get a massive payday and graded out as one of the highest graded offensive linemen in the National Football League. So sometimes it does take guys time. Jalen Armour Davis, giving it a C. Let me know if I'm being too nice. All right. Pick number 128. Our next pick in the 4th round, Charlie Kolar. Giving it a C-. Not giving it a D because I don't think it was necessarily a bad pick at the time. But looking back, was injured, right, most of the season. In the limited action he did come in, though. He did look good. Remember that Bengals game? What was it, week 18? Let me know what your guys' grades are for Charlie Kolar. I think the talent's there, man. I think he can block. He can run routes. Pretty athletic dude. Was one of the best tight ends coming out of college last year. Just, it's hard for him to find his way on the field, man, because Josh Oliver was playing really, really good football. Josh Oliver was one of my favorite, like, under-the-radar Ravens last season. Like, just kept his head down, blocked well, made, big-time plays when we needed it in the passing game. Put some size. The dude had to put on, like, 15, 20 pounds of muscle, man. He was a hulking 260 pounds. If you're a linebacker, you don't want to have to block that guy or try to shed that block. So, didn't get a lot of playing time, but in the limited action he was decent. So, we're giving it a C- because I don't think it was terrible. I don't think it was a bust type of pick, but, definitely not the best. All right, up next, pick number 130, our punter, Jordan Stout. Giving it an A. Simply, a big part of it is, do you guys remember who the Bills drafted? That Ariza guy that ended up having those heinous sexual assault, rape charges and all that stuff, man. And everyone was busting and ragging on the Ravens. Well, guess what? Ravens do their homework, man. Ravens dig into character. They look at off-the-field stuff. They look at legal stuff. They interview your coaches, your teachers. They go very in-depth because to be a Baltimore Raven, they want you to be a good dude. They want you to be a stand-up guy. They don't just bring scumbags into the organization. Now, every once in a while, guys will fall through the cracks, but I'm giving this pick a lot of credit because of how they avoided the Matt Ariza situation. You guys remember that? So I thought Stout, I remember he did have I think 2 shank punts that I remember where I was like, bro, what was that? Like it came off his foot wrong or something. But the way he was able to hold, didn't have any errors holding for Justin Tucker, and did have some big booming punts, able to pin guys back deep into their own territory quite a few times. Liked what I saw out of Jordan Stout because we needed a punter, man. And the fact that we got to retain Sam Cook as, the punting coach was absolutely incredible. So in the chat, we got an A, B-, A, and a B+. So you guys are on the same page as me when it comes to the Jordan Stout pick. All right, next up. Isaiah Likely, man. This is honestly it's probably one of the best picks in this draft. Because you got a guy this deep. Like, this guy should be a starter on most teams. The ball skills, the route running, the loose hips, the elusivity, yards after catch, man. He's hard to take out in an open field. So slippery. Such a natural catcher of the ball, plucks it out of the air. He came out of a small school, so he got slept on in the draft process. But Isaiah Likely, man, finished the year, I think, top 5 for the Ravens in receiving yards, 373 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns, and 36 catches. Every time that Mark Andrews missed any time, dude, Isaiah Likely stepped up and looked like a number one, like a starting caliber tight end. I think on a lot of teams, he would have been their starting tight end. That's how good Isaiah Likely was. And he can block, Jalen said. We got A+, A++, A++. He looks like a wide receiver at times. He does, man. That's how loose he is. That's how he can run routes. He is not like a straight burner, but he's quick, if that makes sense. Like, he's quick in short spaces, got the boom, make you miss, gets up the field in a hurry, and he can stretch the seams whenever he's trying to run some deeper, intermediate type of routes. Why did we get rid of Deshaun Jackson? Action 8 asked, man. I think it was off the field coaching dispute, drama type of thing. I don't think because he posted that thing on Instagram and like wasn't happy with his role with Greg Roman and all that. So I think that's all it was. A+ because his production was really needed, and I feel like he'll get a lot of reps. Hopefully the next offensive coordinator can find a way to incorporate Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews at the same time. They're too good. There's no reason these two dudes shouldn't be on the field together like 80% or more of snaps. Run plays, they should be on the field because they can both block. Passing plays, they should be on the field because they're both elite pass catchers. You can't look at Isaiah Likely's ball skills, his route running, the looseness, man, yards after catch, and tell me he's not an elite pass catcher. Yes, at the tight end position, find a way to get the two guys on the field at the same time. If you got to line one up off tackle, in line, and one in the slot, make it happen, man. If you got to run one of these guys out wide or like your number 2 receiver, you got to find a way to get these guys on the field at the same time because they're too talented. It creates too many matchup problems with defenses. Like, most defensive backs are too small or not strong enough to guard a guy like Isaiah Likely. But a linebacker is too slow. So he creates matchup problems. Even I remember the matchup we had with Isaiah Likely against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 18, whenever Anthony Brown was slinging that thing. The Bengals tried multiple guys to match up with Isaiah Likely. They tried, I think it was Trey Flowers, who usually guards tight ends for them. He's a corner. They tried Jesse Bates, Von Bell, some safety, some linebackers, Jermaine Pratt. No matter who they put up against him, Isaiah Likely was having his way. So you got to find a way to have Mark and Isaiah Likely on the field at the same time. But this was one of my favorite picks of the draft this season. The Ravens crushed it. Because I know at the time, man, a lot of dudes, including myself, were scratching their head, man. Like, we just took Charlie Kolar, like right before Isaiah Likely. And we already have Mark Andrews, and we already have Nick Boyle, and we already have Josh Oliver. We were like, what are you doing, Ravens? Why would you not grab a receiver? Why would you not grab this or that? But the Ravens said he was too high on our board, too talented. He was the best player available at the time. We had to pull the trigger, and that turned out for them very well because Isaiah Likely looks like he has the potential to be a star as a tight end, especially if he was like the number 1 tight end, not behind Mark Andrews. Like, the dude could be special. I still think he is special, but like he could really have a dominating, massive statistical role in an offense where he was the featured tight end. So here we go. Let's see what the chat has to say. Stephanie says, 100% agree. Lamar would have a field day with both of them on the field at the same time. Hopefully we use Likely at a receiver, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely at the same time. Going to be off the chain. I agree with you, Tanja. Wide receiver, corner at pick number 22 this year at Tanja. Yeah, I agree with you, Don C. Oh, you're asking Tanja. Wide receiver, corner. Jalen said, yeah, I was so confused. Yeah, man, it was a really head-scratching pick at the time, but I'm glad the Ravens did it, and they stuck to their guns, man. They did what they believed in, and Isaiah Likely turned out to be one steal of a player that late into the draft. In all reality, I don't want to do this, right? I absolutely do not want to do this, but I'm just saying theoretically, if the Ravens wanted to trade a guy like Isaiah Likely due to the other tight ends on the roster, like Mark Andrews, they would get much higher than the pick number 139. They could get a second-round type of pick for Isaiah Likely. That's how talented he is. And I think, like, most teams that would throw on the tape and watch him would absolutely be willing to cough up a second. All right. Don't want to do that, like I said, though. I want to see Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely on the field at the same time. All the way, man. All right, next up. We got Pepe. Dude was like a fan favorite in training camp, off season, right? All the dog memes. He was like the dog of training camp. When the regular season rolled around, it was apparent that the Ravens coaching staff had a plan to get him on the field early, tried to get him in that starting nickel role. But again, it was the mental errors. It was the lack of knowing his assignments that got him off the field. I don't think it was the efforts. It wasn't the aggressiveness. It wasn't the talent. I think it was just simply being young. And I know John Harbaugh has talked about the challenge of starting young guys, especially in the secondary. You can really give up big plays, but here's a shot of him making a pass breakup on Jalen Waddle, who's one of the best receivers in the league. And Pepe Williams had some high-level moments. Also he had so many moments where he would get beat, and it was that close. He was right in the hip pocket of the receiver. So close, man, where he would stretch out, try to make a pass breakup, barely missed the ball. But he was playing the ball. Like, give him his credit, man. He was there in the right spot, trying to play the ball, but there were so many times where he was close and just didn't quite get there. And I think a couple guys were able to break tackles on him whenever he went for that pass breakup, and some big plays came of it. But I still believe in Pepe, man. At this deep in the draft, to get Pepe, a guy that can contend to be your starting nickel next season, and a guy that did show some high-level play at times, I like this pick. I'm giving it a B+. All right, next up, we got Tyler Badie, man. This was the worst pick. Straight up, man. It was. Big fat F. Big fat F, man. Because he's not even on the roster anymore. And what's crazy about this pick is literally the week after we cut him, I looked down at, I think it was Sunday Ticket. They post highlights at times. And Tyler Badie had like a 30-yard receiving touchdown from Russell Wilson. And I was like, is this real life right now? Like, we cut Badie, and then the next week, he just caught a 30-yard touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. Like, this is insane. So maybe the talent wasn't an F, but the way the Ravens handled this, the way, he obviously ended up going to another team, waste of a draft pick. But sometimes when you're this deep into the draft, pick number 196, man, sometimes they don't always pan out, right? They don't always pan out. Sometimes you have just as much success with guys undrafted as you do a guy that you pick this deep into the draft at pick number 196. So let's go through here, and then I'm going to get into the chat and chop it up with you guys. Let's recap for those of you who are just now catching this. Kyle Hamilton, we gave it an A+. Really like Kyle Hamilton. Him and Marquise Williams are going to be a dangerous duo at the safety position. Watch out, NFL offenses, for two of the top safeties in the NFL paired up healthy next season, and Marquise Williams and Kyle Hamilton. It's going to be special. The next pick was Tyler Linderbaum. Giving it an A+, graded out a 74.7 with PFF. Let's go back to Kyle Hamilton. If you didn't see that, he had an 82.3, was one of the highest graded safeties in the National Football League, according to PFF. David Ojabo at number 45, I gave it an A. A lot of guys don't think it's an A, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think the talent's still there, and the small flash that we saw, the strip sack on Joe Burrow, was enough to still solidify this pick for me that he's going to be special. Just too good of a natural pass rusher, the natural bend, the twitch, the athleticism. When he turns the edge, man, he's explosive. And it's no coincidence that he had 11 forced fumbles in college. And, it's five sacks his last year in college. And I think it was 5 forced fumbles. No coincidence that one of his first sack in the National Football League was a strip sack. The dude comes for the ball with intensity and tenacity, and I love it. And I think having him and Adafe paired up, hopefully Adafe really steps his game up. That'll be fun to watch next year. Two really young, athletic, toolsy edge rushers that hopefully they can unlock everything they need to to be dominant players. Next up was Travis Jones, A+. Love Travis Jones, what he was able to do, and how late we got him in the draft. Thought he was supposed to be definitely at least a second-round pick. Fell to the Ravens in the third round. Daniel Faalele, we gave it a B. Yeah, just solid, right? Got on the field a little bit, showed he could play left tackle in a pinch, and was solid. Jalen Armour-Davis, C. Some of you guys were saying like it was worse than a C. I'm not giving up on Jalen, though. I think he's still got a lot of talent. Just needs to figure out the mental aspect, the processing aspect, the coverages aspect of football, and get some more time. He's a rookie, man. Charlie Kolar, C-. Injured most of the year, so we didn't get to see much. In the limited time we did see, he was solid. He looked good. Jordan Stout, we gave it an A. Jordan Stout did great as a rookie punter, held the ball for J-Tuck very well, and pinned some guys deep in their own territory. We also had Isaiah Likely, we just talked about, A+, Pepe, B+, and Tyler Badie, F. So let's check out what the chat what's going on in here, man. So we got Jalen saying by far the worst pick for Tyler, I'm assuming. Yep. Breon Mitchell. Lamar need to leave Ravens. He full last year step on field, offer him $113 million guaranteed. It's sick and racist. I don't know about all that, man. I'm gonna leave that alone. J Papa Boy said felt like he could have been Tanja. Badie wasn't showing he was that dude, but I didn't see him as a good pick for the Ravens, the running back for the Ravens. There was some guys that were picked slightly before and or after Tyler Badie that actually showed some promise. And I will say, man, I did call out. I was super high on Dameon Pierce. I think he was the running back out of Florida last year. Dude was a baller, man. I think he had over 1,000 rushing yards. The Texans got him in the third round. Was a big fan of Dameon Pierce. Now, I'm curious of what you guys think in the comments. Let me know right now. Let's go ahead and do a live poll here at For the Flock. Let's go. Should the Ravens draft a running back in the first 4 rounds of the draft this year, yes or no? Should they draft a running back this draft in the first 4 rounds? Because J.K. Dobbins is a free agent next year. We're going to have one more year with him. Obviously coming off a major injury. Gus Edwards, next year is his last year of his contract. So running back, I think having another guy waiting in the wings that's talented wouldn't hurt to add a guy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should they add a running back in the top 4 rounds? And let's continue to go here in the chat. We got Jalen Don C said Jalen Armour-Davis is Anthony freaking Averett 2.0. Yeah, I see what you're saying there because the toolsy guy, lots of speed, but really never just made it work. Has struggled to play the ball a little bit. I will say that. And that was both issues coming out of college for Jalen Armour-Davis and Anthony Averett. Both dudes had a hard time playing the ball. All right, C. Philly got a number 1. That's us all day long. Wise likely a tight end. I don't think he has the speed to be a wide receiver. He's huge, man. He's like, receivers aren't supposed to be 6'5", 240 or 250, man. Isaiah Likely's got a lot of mass on him to be moving his weight around on comeback routes and creating a lot of separation. Still think he's a great receiving threat, but not necessarily a receiver. No, we have J.K., Gus Bus, and Justice Hill. So, like I'm saying, man, Justice Hill's a free agent. He may not be coming back this season. So, Justin Hill's not under contract. J.K., 1 year left under contract. And Gus, 1 year left. Kenyon Drake coming back. He's not under contract. Not that he couldn't come back, but he's not under contract. So, if the Ravens wanted to bring him back, they'd have to sign him to a contract. And the Ravens don't have a lot of money to go around right now, to be honest. All right, guys. So I appreciate everyone that came out to the live stream tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode, man, going through the grades. Had to talk about these grades before the next draft came, because we're going to do a deep dive into this year's draft, man. We're going to be doing prospect film. We're going to be doing tons of mock drafts. We're going to be bringing you guys all of the top prospects for the Ravens, positional value, wide receiver, cornerback. Who should the Ravens draft, man? We're going to be talking about that a lot. So we're going to have some more live streams talking about some mock drafts and who the Ravens should draft. So stay tuned for that, guys. Appreciate everyone that came out to the live stream tonight. You guys are awesome, man. I appreciate all the love and support you guys are showing me in the chat. You guys are freaking amazing, and I don't take you guys for granted. I couldn't do this without you guys, so appreciate y'all. And I hope you guys have a fantastic night. We'll see you in the next video.